What's up, Wrestle Scope family? Before we dive into the absolute chaos that unfolded on Monday Night Raw, I need you to brace yourselves because what I'm about to show you is going to shake the very foundation of everything you thought you knew about loyalty, brotherhood, and the WWE. This isn't clickbait. This isn't exaggeration. This is the moment that 20-plus years of the most dominant partnership in professional wrestling history came crashing down in the most humiliating, most brutal, and most shocking way possible. Let me ask you something, and I want you to really think about this before you come at me in the comment section. How would you feel if the person who stood by you for over 2 decades, the person who talked you up when you weren't there, who defended you against all criticism, who called you the Beast Incarnate, the Conqueror, the 1 in 21-1, suddenly became the very person you stripped down and humiliated in front of millions of people worldwide? That's exactly what Brock Lesnar did to Paul Heyman on Monday Night Raw. And I'm going to tell you right now, this wasn't just a physical assault. This was personal. This was calculated. This was 20 years of pent-up rage, frustration, and betrayal exploding in the most savage way possible. And here's what's making my blood boil right now as I'm putting this video together. The WWE universe is divided. Some of you are saying, finally, Heyman got what he deserved. Others are typing in all caps, how dare Lesnar disrespect Paul like that after everything he's done? But here's the thing that nobody is talking about, and this is what's going to make you lose your mind. What if I told you that Brock Lesnar didn't just wake up one day and decide to humiliate Paul Heyman? What if there's a deeper reason behind this public destruction? What if everything we've been watching for the past 2 years has been building to this moment and we were all too blind to see it coming? Drop a comment right now and tell me whose side you're on, Team Brock or Team Heyman, because by the end of this video, I guarantee your perspective is going to change. Let's rewind the clock, because to truly understand the magnitude of what happened on Raw, we need to talk about the history between these two men. 2002. That's when Paul Heyman first stood beside a young, hungry, athletically freakish Brock Lesnar and told the world this man is the next big thing. And you know what? He was right. For over 20 years, through championships, through WrestleMania moments, through controversial departures and triumphant returns, Paul Heyman was the voice of Brock Lesnar. He was the hype man, the strategist, the advocate who could sell ice to an Eskimo and make Brock Lesnar sound like the most dangerous human being on planet Earth. But something changed. When Roman Reigns came back and aligned himself with Paul Heyman during the pandemic era, we all watched as Heyman's attention slowly shifted. We watched as the wise man became more focused on building the tribal chief empire than on serving the Beast Incarnate. Brock came back, and for a while it seemed like old times. Heyman was juggling both relationships, playing both sides like the master manipulator he's always been. But in professional wrestling, just like in life, you can't serve 2 masters forever. Fast forward to the past several months. Brock Lesnar has been on a warpath. He's been more aggressive, more unhinged, more violent than we've ever seen him. And throughout it all, Paul Heyman has been where exactly? That's the question that's been eating at Brock Lesnar from the inside out. Now, let's talk about what led to Monday Night Raw's explosive moment, because this didn't happen in a vacuum. 3 weeks ago, Brock Lesnar cut a promo, and if you missed it, go back and watch it because it was unsettling. The Beast wasn't his usual confident self. There was something different in his eyes. He looked betrayed. He looked like a man who had been stabbed in the back by the one person he trusted most. In that promo, Brock barely mentioned Paul Heyman's name, but when he did, there was venom, there was hurt. And for those of us who've been watching wrestling long enough to read between the lines, we knew something was coming. Last week, Paul Heyman was scheduled to appear on Raw to address his relationship with Brock Lesnar. Classic WWE, right? Build the tension, let the advocate talk his way out of trouble like he's done 1,000 times before. But Paul didn't show up. He didn't show up. The WWE universe was confused. Adam Pearce came out and said Paul Heyman had personal reasons for not being there. Personal reasons? The man who lives for the spotlight suddenly has personal reasons to avoid Monday Night Raw? That's when the rumors started flying. Social media went insane with speculation. Was Paul Heyman injured? Was he suspended? Was he leaving WWE? Was he afraid of Brock Lesnar? That last question, that was the right one to ask. Because this Monday on Raw, we got our answer, and it was more brutal than anyone could have imagined. Monday Night Raw, the arena is packed. The energy is electric. Everyone knows something big is about to happen, because when WWE teases a confrontation between Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman, you know they're going to deliver. The show is about halfway through when suddenly Brock Lesnar's music hits. No pyro, no fanfare, just that ominous music that makes everyone in the arena stand up because they know the Beast Incarnate is coming and someone's about to get destroyed.
Brock walks down the ramp with a purpose. No smile, no acknowledgement of the crowd. He slides into the ring, grabs a microphone, and the arena goes silent. You could hear a pin drop. And then Brock says the words that sent shockwaves through the WWE universe. "Paul, we need to talk. Get your ass out here, now." The crowd erupts. This is what they've been waiting for. The confrontation that's been building for months is finally about to happen. 30 seconds pass. A minute passes. Paul Heyman's music doesn't hit. Brock's jaw is clenched. His knuckles are white from grabbing that microphone so hard. And just when it seems like Paul is going to no-show again, his music finally hits. But here's where it gets interesting. Paul Heyman walks out, but he's not alone. He's flanked by security, 6 massive security guards surrounding him like he's the president of the United States. And the look on Paul's face, he looks terrified. The crowd is going ballistic at this point because we've never seen Paul Heyman look scared of Brock Lesnar. Intimidated? Sure. Cautious? Absolutely. But this was genuine fear. Paul slowly makes his way to the ring, the security guards creating a barrier between him and Brock. He grabs a microphone and his hands are shaking. Paul Heyman, the greatest talker in WWE history, can barely hold a microphone steady. And then he starts talking. Brock, please, let me explain." He doesn't get to finish. Brock explodes. He throws down his microphone, and before those security guards can even react, the Beast Incarnate is launching them out of the ring like they're ragdolls. One after another, these massive security personnel are being tossed over the top rope like they weigh nothing. The crowd is losing their minds. The arena is shaking with noise. And now it's just Brock and Paul in the ring. Paul is backing into the corner, holding his hands up, pleading with Brock. He's saying something. We can't hear exactly what because his mic is dropped, but you can read his lips, and he's saying, I'm sorry, please." But Brock isn't hearing it. 20+ years of being brothers, and it all comes down to this moment. What happens next is what's going to be replayed on wrestling highlight reels for the next decade. Brock grabs Paul Heyman by his expensive suit jacket and drags him to the center of the ring. And then, in a move that nobody saw coming, Brock starts ripping Paul's clothes off. First, the suit jacket goes flying across the ring. Then Brock tears the shirt. Buttons are popping off and flying into the crowd. The WWE Universe doesn't know whether to cheer or whether to look away, because this isn't entertainment anymore. This is humiliation. This is a man being stripped of his dignity in front of millions of people worldwide. Paul is trying to cover himself, trying to maintain some shred of dignity, but Brock isn't done. He rips off Paul's belt, and at this point referees and officials are flooding the ring, trying to pull Brock away. But you don't stop a beast when he's on a rampage. Brock shoves everyone aside, and in one final act of absolute disrespect, he grabs what's left of Paul's clothing and throws it into the crowd. The entire arena is in shock. Some people are cheering, some are standing in stunned silence, and some look absolutely horrified. Paul Heyman is left standing in the ring in just his undershirt and pants, completely humiliated, completely broken. And the look on his face, it's not just embarrassment, it's devastation. You can see tears forming in his eyes. This is a man whose entire persona is built on being the smartest guy in the room, the best talker, the master manipulator, and in one night, Brock Lesnar destroyed that persona. Brock stands over Paul, staring down at him with zero emotion on his face. No rage, no satisfaction, just cold. It's like he's looking at a stranger, not the man who stood by his side for over 2 decades. And then Brock does something that sends one final message to Paul Heyman and to the entire WWE Universe. He turns his back on Paul and walks out of the ring, leaving the wise man in a heap of humiliation, surrounded by referees and officials trying to help him up, trying to preserve whatever dignity he has left. The cameras capture Paul's face, and you can see everything in that expression. Shame, regret, betrayal, and the realization that he's lost the most important relationship of his professional life. The moment Monday Night Raw went off the air, social media exploded. Twitter, or X, or whatever we're calling it these days, was trending worldwide with hashtag Brock Lesnar, hashtag Paul Heyman, and hashtag Raw Shock. Within minutes, there were thousands upon thousands of tweets, and the WWE Universe was completely divided. Brock supporters were saying things like, "Finally, Heyman got exposed for the snake he is. He betrayed Brock for Roman, and now he's paying the price." That's what happens when you play both sides. Brock showed him who the real beast is. Paul Heyman deserved every second of that humiliation. You can't betray loyalty and expect no consequences. But Team Heyman supporters were firing back. This is disgusting. Brock Lesnar is a bully. Paul Heyman gave him everything: his voice, his credibility, his career. How can you justify stripping a man of his clothes on national television? This isn't wrestling. This is assault. Paul Heyman made Brock Lesnar who he is. Without Paul's words, Brock would just be another athlete. Show some respect. And then there were the people in the middle, the ones who were just trying to process what they'd witnessed. I don't even know what to think anymore. That was uncomfortable to watch. WWE just crossed a line. That felt too real. I can't tell if this is brilliant storytelling or if I should be concerned. Wrestling journalists were scrambling to get statements. Dave Meltzer tweeted within hours analyzing the segment. Wade Keller was doing emergency podcasts. Everyone in the wrestling media landscape was trying to make sense of what just happened. And the numbers don't lie. Monday Night Raw's ratings for that segment were through the roof. It was the most watched segment of the night, and the replay videos on social media have been viewed tens of millions of times. But here's where we need to dig deeper, because there's more to this story than just a public humiliation. Let's talk about what this really represents. For over 20 years, Paul Heyman has been the voice behind Brock Lesnar's violence. Every F5, every German suplex, every championship victory was sold to us by Paul's silver tongue. Paul made us believe that Brock was more than just an athlete. He was a conqueror, a beast, something inhuman. But what happens when the voice becomes more famous than the action? What happens when Paul Heyman's promos get more attention than Brock's matches? What happens when the advocate starts believing he's more important than the client? That's the question that's been simmering beneath the surface for years. When Paul aligned himself with Roman Reigns, it wasn't just about choosing another client. It was about Paul choosing someone who needed his voice more than Brock ever did. Roman was building a legacy, creating the tribal chief, and Paul saw an opportunity to be part of something big.